Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all from Global Capital Summit 2021. This event is being organized from Austin, the Silicon Hills of USA. Today, as part of the program, we have Startup Showcase. We are going to feature some of the startups which are based out of Austin, and we have some great founders here. They're going to talk about their startup, their product, their services, their idea, and please encourage and back them up. So let's start with Alex. Arthur, you just want to brief about the logistics?
Yeah, so the logistics for this event are pretty straightforward. We're having two live demos today during our session, one from Alex and one from Vishu. They have some very exciting companies, so we are super excited to have them. Each demo will be around 4 to 6 minutes. And our third demo, which is from Corey Roof from Ogallala Greens, is already available on YouTube. So if anybody is interested in taking a look at that during or after the session, please do so. They are also a great company, and we are really excited to have them as well. So I think that wraps up the logistics.
Great, thanks, Arthur. So Alex, let's start.
Fantastic. All right, so Arthur and David, I think you'll need to allow for and enable screen sharing. It says it's disabled unless you just want me to speak without a presentation.
Yeah, we'll be giving you permissions to share in just a moment here.
Awesome.
All right, I think you should be able to share now.
Fantastic. All right, so great segue. Thank you, David, for having us, and thank you, Pavan, for the comments on remote work and adaptiveness, because it's exactly our cup of tea. I am Alex Foster. I am a co-founder of Youvise, and we're right here in West Austin. And we are a platform and marketplace for virtual services, specifically health and fitness and counseling, mental health, and a variety of others. We are certainly all aware that there's no shortage of complications and challenges surrounding COVID. It's very clear, as reported by NHS, National Institute of Health, as well as other international organizations. We're seeing rates of anxiety and depression up 400% in the last year. People are by and large around the world gaining weight just because of our lockdowns and inactivity. On the flip side of the equation, when it comes to the sort of freelancers and service providers, we're seeing dramatic shifts. 60% of people who formerly attended and worked out in a gym have not returned. And 15% of those gyms and sports clubs have permanently closed or gone bankrupt. Where it's very commonly observed that the number of freelancers and independent service providers is going to go up 50% over the next 4 or 5 years. And so there's this huge hole in the market. And the problem ultimately is that people who need physical health and sort of counseling services often have the worst access. And there's significant friction and cost at every step of the customer's journey, from finding perhaps a fitness coach or a nutritionist or a dietitian on say Google, going to look at reviews on Yelp. Maybe then you actually want to reach out and schedule someone on a calendaring system. Then of course you have to pay them and conduct the session through Zoom. And then maybe if that freelancer is lucky, you'll come back to Yelp and leave them a review. And so there's points of friction at every single step. And our mission is really to build an integrated ecosystem to much more efficiently deliver virtual services and make them much more accessible to those, especially who need them most. And so we're really kind of creating a new sort of on-demand ecosystem that crosses over and merges social with information search and knowledge sharing. And we're seeing amazing traction in things like fitness and various forms of health services. We've really kind of made this as simple as finding the appropriate advisor based on keywords, making it completely streamlined from end to end, allowing them to book, post their availability, and set their fee per minute by the minute, so that there's very little risk for end users to book someone who could book. We have a 15-minute minimum, and advisors are free to set their rate per minute, whatever it is they feel is fair and justified. So quick screenshot, we're both web and mobile. We have apps on both iOS and Android app stores. We have our web app has been on the market for about 8 months. And this is essentially what our search screen does look like. It allows you to easily find an appropriate service provider at a cost per minute that works for you and lets you to filter through various metrics like rating and so forth. And the value is fantastic. Our clients, be it someone looking for a nutritionist or a physical therapist or an actual medical doctor, our risk is low for both the advisors to sign up. There's really no downside other than the 10 or 15 minutes it takes to create a profile. Clients are able to access top-notch talent for a fraction the rate they would normally have to pay. And we're seeing a real opportunity for a lot of the service providers out there, the freelancers, to reach an entirely new audience around the nation, and they're hurting. So our platform is fully integrated, and this is sort of a unique, novel concept. We offer in-house, peer-to-peer encrypted video communication. We don't rely on any third-party services except for when it comes to payment processing. And we have built in all the scheduling, coordination, the payment, escrow, and automated this in an entirely new, streamlined fashion that lets users, rate their experience and sort of gamify that for the advisor as well. We're entirely serverless. We are able to scale very, very easily, with the exception of things like customer and technical support, which is sure to grow with increased traffic. And we're HIPAA compliant. Right now, our key demographics and target markets are physical fitness, training, coaching, nutrition and diet, other forms of health services that most do not require a state-issued license. We actually do have verification systems in place that would allow any physician or psychiatrist, for example, to operate. But we do restrict many categories that have regulatory restrictions, and for good reason, obviously. And those include things like mostly practice of medicine and diagnosing disease and issuing treatments. That's not our focus area, but we are capable of providing that. Down the road, we certainly see expanding into a large range of educational concepts and recreation in the long tail of our market. But our revenue model is very straightforward, and it's one of the reasons why we built Youvise the way we did. We simply take a 20% platform fee on every transaction. We retain about 15 of that 20%. Most go to, a lot of that goes to costs and transaction fees. But nevertheless, obviously the advisor is automatically paid out 80% of the fee and the total charge for that session. And we do charge a modest amount, actually quite little, for things like verification of identification, of credentials, of licenses. And some of our advisors have also opted to verify their educational background as well. If you're a consultant in, say, physics or mathematics or economics, it's not necessarily credentialed, but it's good to show your verification, your background. I'll just glaze over our objectives and our development schedule. We are on track. We're fully rolled out on both mobile and iOS, and we've established some traction in health and fitness and in education as well. And really kind of shifting. We actually raised 250K, half a quarter mil from NVIDIA in terms of a technology grant. We raised about another 100,000 from various angels and a micro VC in California. And at this point, we are confident. We've partnered with the University of Texas at Austin. We have a handful of interns and associates that have joined the team to really take on our growth in specific categories. But long term, and trust me, I've worked with investors in the past. I know people throw out some astronomical market TAMs and SAMs, but the total market for virtualizable services is astronomical. It's huge. We're easily talking $1.25 trillion. And of course, we expect to in the U.S. markets capture probably best case scenario 5 to 10% of our domestic addressable and serviceable. But we are absolutely seeing an opportunity to achieve sort of economies of scale beyond what a lot of the niche websites and tutoring have been able to offer. But all of our key competition, the big players, the people like Fiverr and Upwork and Freelancer, none of them cater to virtual services, and none of them are easily able to enter this market because they all have freelancers with usually language barriers. They're often international, and they typically deal with situations where there's a hard deliverable being provided. They're not focused or capable of really providing on-demand, face-to-face virtual services. I'll briefly cover our team. Myself, I head product and sort of operations, a lot of our recruiting and talent. Cody is our full stack technical co-founder. He's got a dozen years in platform development, and he was central to a lot of the data structuring. We have 2 other full-time and a handful of contractors, and we just brought in a fantastic guy in Colorado to head our fitness and health program, to really deal and interact with the B2B side, which is partnering with gyms and other health clubs and fitness providers. So myself, I have a background in innovation and entrepreneurship. I was Google for many years, long ago, and moved into, I was with the Wall Street Journal as well, and moved into the early stage startup space and led several innovation programs. I was the program director of health and technology at the Plug and Play Tech Center throughout 2016 underneath Johnson & Johnson Innovation. And democratizing the health space has always been a passion of mine. So with that, I'll keep this short, and I'm happy to answer any questions or inquiries y'all might have. I think everybody's still muted. So
great, Alex. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Great idea. I think there are many platforms which offer freelance services, but this is pretty unique in terms of being live and one-to-one. I think that is something very unique. Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your ask for those who are watching? Are you raising?
We are raising. Again, we raise a small.
At the same time, what are you asking your potential customers?
Absolutely. We're absolutely interested in people who would like to share their passion and receive a fair payment in exchange. We are absolutely constantly interested in recruiting and bringing in new advisors, freelancers, and small businesses who have a service that they can effectively deliver through face-to-face video format. So if you're involved in health, nutrition, coaching, counseling, or other related services, we'd absolutely love to have you on the platform. And there's really no risk. And those who kind of establish a reputation earlier on have the pronounced benefit and advantage that they are going to appear higher in search rankings as we move forward and scale. On the investment side, we absolutely are beginning to raise our seed round. Again, we've raised a few $100,000 early pre-seed and grant funding, and we really want to scale this and bring in people in some of these restricted and regulated categories down the road, and unregulated categories in the near term. And we need boots in the ground, and we need to grow our growth team and scale.
Great.
Since you support many different sectors, are different type of skills of the resource. I'm wondering, what do you think is your top two, top three sectors this year and next year?
Absolutely. And so we don't want to turn anyone away if they are very good at what they do, and it's highly aligned with what Youvise can deliver. But you're absolutely right. We need to establish traction in a very small number of segments and channels, and we have identified the prime opportunities. Not surprisingly, those that have revolved around remote work and COVID and the issues, the health issues that that has brought. So we are absolutely seeing traction, and we're excited about scaling in health and fitness, in nutrition, diet, other forms of health counseling. And additionally, a lot of the areas that this overlaps, mental health, that may or may not be governed by state licensure. We are capable of supporting professional psychologists and psychiatrists and medical professionals. They would have to become verified and prove that they are legally able to offer those telehealth and telepresence services. But we are seeing a lot of potential for even B2B partnerships in fitness and gyms and physical fitness.
Great. Alex, one interesting success interaction between the advisor and the customer, which happened on your platform?
Absolutely, we've had, dozens and dozens. We have over 100 advisors operating right now. We've had, most of those fall within everything from, we've done everything from technology to health, dietary advising. And so we have, for example, some success stories. And again, to be honest, we are not privy to the contents of each call. Those are private and secured and encrypted, and we know metrics about them, sort of metadata, but we certainly we don't probe, and we want to be respectful as to the privacy of clients and advisors. But that said, I certainly do know of a few that have shared their experience with us, and one of those is in nutrition. We have a couple younger nutritionists who studied nutrition in university, and they're finding it very difficult, especially in COVID, to build their client base, especially when a lot of that is face-to-face, physical, historically, and now they're forced to move to virtual provision, which is a very new ballgame. And the beauty of our platform too is that we provide end-to-end tools. So the everything that an advisor needs on top of the lead generation, the business we provide to them, the value of having an end-to-end service where you have integrated scheduling and booking and payment and escrow and the management of all your appointments is huge to any independent service provider.
Great. Thanks, Alex. It's great, and all the best. And I hope investors, audience, potential advisors, customers will reach out to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
Best, and this is one of the great stories coming out of Austin. Thank you.
Thank you.